Hello there, and as usual, I'm Aaron from Laststandgamers, and welcome. So here in front of me is a very nicely crafted Star Wars MTT. Now, if you're a fan of the droids in Star Wars, like myself, you'll know that their crafts, their vessels, their ships are just really unique, really interesting, and the designs themselves are just fantastic to look at. But this one here is actually being created by Soren, and you can download it from the Steam Workshop that I'll have a link to in the description below. So first off, let's take a look around this one over here. So you can see the size of it to the character is pretty damn accurate. It just kind of lurks over him, and these things come at you really slowly, and they're about to deploy the troops. They are really scary. They've got this sort of feel to them that you just can't replicate, but as you can see here, this one's been replicated very well indeed. Now, one of the harder points to replicate is the round door where the troops deploy from on the front. And you can see in Space Engineers terms here, the round hatch has been done to quite a good level of detail. You can see we've got the rounded corners there, we've got the little front part of the lid, as well as the joint here at the top. That's using a single rotor because two, we know, causes some troubles in Space Engineers. And if we go a little bit higher up, we also have the cockpit there that we can control this beast from. Now, looking at the detailing, it is quite simple, but the actual droid ship is quite simple in a lot of ways. But let's start with the actual weapons here. So on the side, we've got two of these AT sort of cannons on either side, so these blasters will just put down firepower and support the droids as they advance. Towards this section, we actually have one of the thrusters that's kind of decorated more than actually having any sort of function to it, because the problem with this design is the thruster damage has to be turned off for it to work, and that's the same with a lot of Star Wars designs, because they don't have the thrusters exposed on the outside. They want to tuck them away so the design stays very sort of neat and good looking. So as we come into this section, you know, we've got a little bit of venting down there. We've got this breakaway section that just adds to the level of detail, as well as a bit more venting down there. Then as you enter into the center of this ship, you can see that the detailing of these sort of vent types is just really nice. You can see the black, that's the vent underneath, contrasting with it, and it just really looks quite good in Space Engineers terms. Sometimes you know when you've got a design right in Space Engineers, and these MTTs just feel like they belong here. So as we work into the squarer area at the back where the engine and the thrusters are all housed, you can see that they've got this little recess with a different coloured brown in, and you can see that different coloured sort of brown's been used across the whole design just to add that extra level of depth to it. So as we wrap around the back, we've got a little bit of function here. We actually have a connector here at the back. Now, what would be really cool is one of these MTTs in Space Engineers that had a welding system inside that produced droids, and then you could deploy them out of the front itself. That'd be really cool. Maybe an idea that I could take to the drawing board a little bit later on. You can see the detailed section at the back here. It's been ribbed, it's been detailed with some blast door blocks. A lot of blast door blocks on this particular design, to say so, adding a bit of extra armor as well as the detailing themselves. So let's test this thing out. So if we grab ourselves our character and we enter into this cockpit, something cool about this cockpit here, and something you might want to add to your own designs, is these blast door blocks and this little slit here. So it sort of gives you less angles of arc to actually fire on the cockpit, where still giving the driver, if I can find a way in here, a good little view. So it is still a very narrow tank slot, but you can then drive in third person, so it's not too much of a problem. Now let's drive this across the landscape. So we've got quite a good little bit of acceleration. Gyroscopes are pretty damn slow, but you can just imagine how this creeps over the landscape to its location when it deploys the troops. So let's do a little bit of deploying, but first we need to suppress the enemy. So put some of that fire down. Oh, look at that. Fantastic. Them clones will be running in fear from us. You can see how them red lasers coming out of it. Now, next up we have the hatch. So the hatch is going to open up. Let's have a look at the detailing in there. Really nice. Quite a slow process when these drones are being deployed. You'd feel like they're at the most vulnerable position because they're all on that rack, one sort of rocket in there, and you've lost all the drones. So we've turned that on, and now we extract the actual pod out of the center. Let's see if we can get a better view of this for you. So as we're coming out, you can see the seats. So we've got double stacked seats on the bottom. So that is a total of 4 8. So you've got another 8 on the other side, and then you've got another 4 on top. So in Space Engine terms, this would actually hold quite a lot of people, but I really wouldn't want to be deployed like this out the front of it. So you can see the large ship piston that is tucked with inside there. So if we actually go in here with the camera, we'll be able to see the inner workings of this guy. And it is all wired and plumbed up, so that's pretty good. We've got the hydrogen tanks on either side. Are they hydrogen tanks? Let's have a quick look. Yeah, so this is supposed to be like a oxygen setup, I'm guessing. Yeah, so we've got the fuel cells there as well as the containers for ammunition, other supplies that I need, and you can see the thrusters have all been tucked in here. So if there was any sort of damage on them thrusters, they would just rip themselves apart. So another level, maybe in a later version you can design it so it would work without having any of these sort of thrusters in damaging positions, because there is a lot of space at the bottom here. You might be able to fit them and move them around, but I don't know if they then get in the way of this larger piston extending. Still a fantastic design. Let's just retract that in. So we've got to the battle, we've retracted that in, then we need to reverse the piston process. And knowing Aaron, he'll probably get the door stuck, so if I try to close... Oh, okay, so I can't close them because I've locked the rotor at the same time. We'll try that in a second, because Aaron loves breaking things, doesn't he? We'll actually retract the piston back out. Oh, you know what would be really fun? Is if we turn the speed of both of the systems really fast. So if we have the deploy units, instead of that, we have it to maximum speed, and we have deploy the front door. We just deploy that up to maximum speed as well. So rotor lock, velocity, let's put that into there. So now let's try it out. This is the sped up droid deployment. Okay, yeah, that's a little bit more efficient, and then we just close up the hatch really quickly. So there we go, hatch closed. Oh, it slams shut. Right, so you'd open it up, send your droids out. There you go. That's the sort of drone efficiency or droid efficiency we need. But what happens if we close the hatch on that? Oh, it doesn't like that, does it? Oh, but it still works. It's not too bad. Oh, it's actually broken it. Let's see if we can just ram it maybe back into position. So if we close that, then we close this. There we go. Now it's closed up. Seems like a really quite a cool design. I maybe need to work on some sort of deployment method like that on one of my own ships. Let us know in the comment section below, and if you want to check out this design, there will be a link to it in the description below. Let's give this thing a little bit more of a spin though, because if we actually go back to our character, let's just see. So we can take it off a bit further than you're supposed to be able to fly with these things, so there's no sort of sensor or limiter, so you can just drift this around the terrain and it just looks like a giant brown slug going around to murder its target. Still very cool indeed. Anyway, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Oh god, the door just opened. A tree. I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.